Been asked to comment on this. Someone asked me if I got the answer I gave them from someone else or came to it myself. The Krasnoyarsk Territory Arsenal ammo depot in Siberia, Russia. The various brain trust reactions. When anything happens, and I mean an ammo dump in Pakistan blowing up, watching the Twin Towers fall in, everybody wants to yell nuke. Why? Because it's literally the easiest thing on earth to debunk. Nuclear bombs do not work the way anybody thinks they do because of a couple of things. But let's go into it. The Reddit brain trust reaction versus YouTube. Reddit brain trust. Conventional explosives don't produce a visible light at the moment of a detonation. YouTube. Shockwaves travel many times faster than the speed of sound. So the implication is it must be bigger and further out because the time delay of 10 seconds works out to literally almost exactly 2 miles away from the person recording it. Now there could be sync issues in the video, but the sync issues in a video recording, even though it goes real quick, would really be a little bit of not really a problem. So it was 2 miles away. If you're 2 miles away from an atom bomb blast that you can see the flash from, and you're pointing a camera at it, that is literally within the range that it would damage the camera, and you'd see snow sparkles on the screen because that's one of the first things you see from an electromagnetic pulse now from the radiation. The radiation hitting the CMOS sensor would make it produce speckle patterns. You can actually watch someone run a camera through an irradiating piece of equipment. The radiation from a nuclear blast is an uncontrolled burst of it that goes on for at least a second, so you get at least a couple of frames. What about the flash? Supersonic detonation velocities in a nuclear bomb or an atom bomb, the speed with which the detonation shockwave travels is not the same as an explosive. You get supersonic speeds in nuclear blasts, in air, maybe. That depends on how far away you are and what you're calling it. But the only time you get it with conventional explosives, supersonic changes in speed, is inside of the explosive itself. The material itself has to have a different speed of sound rating. It does. It can be much, much faster. You can hear a kaboom through the dirt faster than you can through the air. So, can you get supersonic explosions from an atom bomb when you're within 2 miles of it? Okay, well here's the part that's important about it. Air being compressed by the blast wave is heated to incandescent light. That's where most of the light, well, a good portion of the light comes from in an atom bomb blast. The mechanical shock wave, because it is supersonic, creates this light flash, not the detonation. Electromagnetically, you get 2 clicks. One from the initiating thermonuclear warhead being triggered by a little atom bomb, and another one when it actually starts causing fusion, usually because of a fissile spark plug made of plutonium or whatever. But visually you do get 2 flashes, and they come very close together. There's a reason for it. Over half of the explosion's energy comes outward, radiating a thin, dense shell called the hydrodynamic front. It acts like a piston and pushes against and compresses the surrounding medium, air, to make a spherically expanding shock wave. The shock wave is inside the surface of a developing fireball, because the fireball is moving out further because it emitted radiation first. The radiation ionizes everything and you get a blinding flash of light. Not a little blip, an actual blinding flash of light. That is then interrupted by the shock wave because the shock wave is dense enough that it actually blocks that light. Then the expanding pattern gets close to it again because just as quick as it fires off, it goes subsonic again, and the shock wave and radiation and fireball from the now breaking down material exceeds it. So that's where you get the double flash from. The shock front obscures the fireball because the shock front comes out first, and then you get, this is after the flash, then the fireball expansion, and then the shock wave. The supersonic shock wave creates a dimming effect, and then an incandescence, and then the fireball exceeds it. You get 2 blinding flashes of light that are very persistent. You can look at dozens and dozens of nuclear bomb blasts. There are people out there who are called nuke truthers. They believe that nuclear bombs, as is depicted from every single recording of every single test, are fake because they show something that don't look right. They don't believe that seeing a double flash or seeing a blinding flash of light is a nuke. So anything that looks anything like a nuclear blast, it can't be a real one. However, every other damn thing, including a grain elevator explosion, no, I'm not kidding, must be a nuclear bomb going off. And the Twin Towers collapsing have to be a nuclear blast, even though it wouldn't cause a laser-like blast up through the building, but only damaging the building in a very precise and controlled way so that it caves in on itself. When reality is so scary that you have to make up an even more terrifying reality so you have control over it, so you can grip it with a death grip, yeah. Anyway, the shockwave dissipates to the point where it's subsonic, and then you see light again, and that creates a second flash. So if all the flashes happen in the first flash, that's the point beyond which, at that diameter, it's already subsonic, so it can't be affecting your timing for hearing a sound. So it was 2 miles away. Or you've decided somehow, again, nuke truther. A bunch of people in the comment sections are spouting lots of things. Yes, there are supersonic shock waves. They usually occur in material that can tolerate it because it's not supersonic in that material. And yes, a nuclear bomb for a very, very short distance produces a supersonic shock wave. You can see it in the slow-mo versions of the explosions if they don't change the speed of the recording. You have to look for that. And you see it go, bap. It's suddenly this big, and then it progresses and propagates, and then it seems to come to a standstill. And that's when most people, for non-technical reasons, but for dramatic effect, will then speed up the recording again. You did this really good ultra-high-speed recording of a nuclear blast so you could analyze it, but when you play it back, you change the speed on it so we can't use it for any technical purposes. How very Hollywood of Sandia laboratories and U.S. military and DoD. But some of the recordings are run at standard speed. See also free fall speed being faked by changing speeds on YouTube. And you actually see it gets really boring all of a sudden because the supersonic shockwave, which is literally just the matter, antimatter, the matter and explosion, fission and fusion reactions, creating a shockwave because they've literally created a space where it's hyper dense. That's the other thing. An atom bomb blast, the pressure level makes it to where everything now has the consistency of almost a solid. So yeah, it can move faster than the speed of light, just like a bullet can. But the air on the outside has a propagation speed limit on it. It is the speed of sound. If you superheat it or compress it at a higher pressure, then it can actually, in and of itself, have changes that happen faster than the speed of sound, yes. But if you watch one of these recordings, it comes to a fairly abrupt stop, and it's not very big. So the idea of somebody posting in the comment section, oh, we're hearing a supersonic shockwave, that's a contradiction in terms. Because if you could hear a supersonic shockwave at whatever distance, you would be dead. So it's either 2 miles away or it's an extremely far away thing. No, actually it wasn't. So no, it was a conventional explosion. It was 2 miles away from the recorder, approximately. And that's about it. And by the way, when you look up the equations, people are like, well, supersonic shockwaves are totally possible. And then you get a bunch of physics and math stuff put up on the screen. And then when you ask the person, how much faster than the speed of sound is that? Well, it's supersonic. Answer the fucking question, you dumbass. You know, a couple of people get pinned down a year. Well, on paper it's supersonic. How fast? 2% faster than the speed of sound. So you went out of your way to mathematically be correct when it really isn't really like 3 or 4 times the speed of sound. It's like 2% faster than the speed of sound. If you're at a distance you can observe it at and not die, it's not a supersonic sound wave. Therefore, the shock wave is not traveling faster than the speed of sound, making it much, much further away. The maximum distance extension would be around upwards of 10%. So, 2.2 miles? Again, if you're not dead, it's not a supersonic shock wave. And anyway, there was no double flash several, couple of frames apart. The only disruption to the camera is that the recording was disrupted, probably by vibration. Probably losing connection to the little SIM card or whatever, or memory card. I'm sure there are other recordings, and all I need to do is get a couple of them that show the flashover effect into the clouds and the time delay, and if they're around 10 seconds, it was 2 miles. I hope this was useful. You can read all the commentary below I put in, but I was making fun of people on Reddit demanding this had to be a nuclear blast when these same individuals, yes, if you track them down, will say every nuke video you ever watched from the 1940s was fake because humans can't split the atom. But suddenly every damn conspiracy theory involves an atom bomb going off. But yeah, shockwaves on paper and technically do have the ability to travel transonically. But that didn't happen in this case. This is an ordinary shockwave. And yes, a shockwave, yes, I'm wrong. It can technically travel faster than the speed of sound. And if you get a physics teacher nailed down enough, they'll admit that they're trying to prove a point because, well, on paper, yes, there are versions of it where you can get double the speed of sound. That's it. That actually can happen. Most of the recordings that you show for that don't have people nearby and didn't rely on them holding a button down for a real good reason. So anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. And that explosion in the arsenal, it was an army. There was a fire in the area they were all fighting too. It probably caught fire. Army. It was an ammo dump. It blew up. Same thing happened during a war in one of the Arab countries, and people said it has to be a nuke. Because if you say nuke explosion, you get page views. So I'll put one up too. This happened X number of days ago, like on the 5th or something. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck.